Death has claimed a little girl 6 months old. Along a rural road in El Salvador, other children carry her coffin with a dignity and grace beyond their years. No prayers are heard, little weeping, because to Salvadorans, this child is already an angel, already in heaven. These people know about children dying. Their country has one of the highest infant mortality rates in the world. Yet there is a love of life here that is so strong, so pervasive, that it cannot be escaped. For it is life, not death. Life treasured, savored, lived fully and deeply, that is the mark of the people of this Central American nation. Portraits of a people, the faces of El Salvador, the essence of a country. Mestizo faces, for this is a land populated by people of Spanish Indian ancestry. Over long centuries, the marriage of these two cultures has formed the Salvadoran, has created these faces, which, though unique, share something indefinable with all of us. These, then, are another part of the faces of man. The volcano Izalco knows nothing of man or of time. A legendary restlessness that caused regular, spectacular eruptions has ebbed. Today, Izalco sends no more brilliant flares skyward, no more rivers of lava downward. But shrouded in clouds, mysterious, now impassive, it looks down, as it always has, on El Salvador, on the smallest mainland nation in the Western Hemisphere, on a nation of over 4 million people. Once in history, El Salvador was called Cuscatlan, land of precious things, by the people Indians who made it their home. Proud relatives to the Aztec of Mexico, theirs was a stable, advanced civilization with a sound agricultural base, yet it boasted builders, artisans, and scholars as well. In 1525, after a fierce, prolonged struggle, the Spanish conquered Cuscatlan and subjugated the people Indians. The invaders introduced their religion, culture, language, and placed an indelible mark on the land they called El Salvador, the smallest, least prominent of the 5 Spanish provinces in Central America. Yet here in 1811, a priest named Jose Matias Delgado led a revolt aimed at securing independence for El Salvador. The revolt was suppressed, but it led to others. In Guatemala, in Nicaragua, and again in El Salvador. Finally, on September 15, 1821, the provinces of Central America as one declared their independence from Spain, the culmination of a movement that had begun 10 years before in El Salvador. El Salvador, where the battle for Central American independence was born, is a land of striking beauty. Squeezed tightly between Guatemala and Honduras, it is washed by the warm, sparkling waters of the Pacific and is blessed with miles of unspoiled, gentle, almost deserted beaches. Located in the heart of the country is San Salvador, the capital city. Totally destroyed by an earthquake in 1854, it is today a bustling cosmopolitan center, home to over 700,000 people. El Salvador is slightly smaller than Massachusetts, but its steadily growing number of inhabitants make it 6 times more densely populated than the United States. Yet it is these inhabitants, 90% mestizo, that give this tiny, cramped, and poor nation a richness of spirit that permeates its national life. Trabajar. In Spanish, it means to work. And to the majority of people in El Salvador, to work means to work the land, to try and draw subsistence from it. This is not easy. Sometimes it is barely possible, for there are too many people, too little land. Still, El Salvador is an agricultural country, one whose primary crop, coffee, is an unstable commodity. It is agriculture which is the backbone of the Salvadoran economy, which provides roughly 1/4 of the gross national product, generates 90% of the foreign trade, and employs 60% of the labor force. Most of the people who make up that labor force live in grinding poverty, struggling to exist on an average wage of between $2 and $3 a day. The land they pour their sweat into grows coffee, sugarcane, and cotton, all for export. But it does not grow enough food to feed its people. Thus, on small plots in every corner of the nation, food crops are laboriously grown, not for sale, not for export, but for survival. Simple survival. If most Salvadorans draw crops from a grudging soil, more and more work at seeking the harvest of the sea. Day after day, modern fishing boats slide into El Salvador's ports, their bellies full of shrimp. Shrimp from the waters of the Pacific, rich, fertile waters. Like many fruits of the land, however, this food of the sea is not destined for the people of El Salvador. It is too expensive for them. Instead, it will be exported, sent north to the lucrative markets of the United States. By contrast, the port of La Libertad. Here, individual fishermen brave the sea in frail outboard motorboats. Their vessels are hauled by crane from the sea to the pier above. There, they display the results of their long, hard day's work. And in an open-air fish market, they sell directly to their countrymen. It is a scene bursting with life and vitality. Far from the coast, deep in the country's interior, a brick factory. The earth provides the raw material for this industry. Most houses in the country, particularly in rural areas, are fashioned of simple adobe. But slowly, this is changing. Bricks made here are baked in an oven, which makes them stronger, more resistant to the earthquakes that have historically plagued the nation. The earth of El Salvador also provides the clay used by potters in the 300-year-old village of Ilobosco. This historic town is the home of many cooperatives where work and profits are shared. It is the home, too, of a remarkable school, one which offers aspiring potters a one-year course in ceramics. Today it abounds with gifted people at work in different media.